Hello and welcome back to See Red UK, where quite simply it's Chicago Bulls thing. It's just me tonight, Matt, as it's another Bulls Blitz episode. Neil will be back next week, possibly drop something over the weekend for you as well, depending if there's any news. I'm a bit tied up over the weekend, so very unlikely I get a chance to drop anything. And yeah, so like I said on a previous episode, it's the whole point of these Bulls Blitz, gives us a chance to stay ahead of content and news and stuff like that, so that when we are back together next week we can discuss everything and obviously discuss other stuff as well. So tonight's episode, now this is something that I was going to talk about the other night, and then we got the Torrey Craig news, so I'll put it on the back burner for now, and I want to get it out tonight as tomorrow I'll be busy sorting everything out ready for Summer League starting. And that's what I'm going to talk about on tonight's episode, is Summer League. Now at See Red UK, we're going to be treating it like normal Bulls basketball, in terms of game day picks, polls, and if Bulls get a win, there will be a Bulls player, a Bull of the game issued out, as we tend to do. And it's why I enjoy Summer League. It's a bit of a ramp up, mid-season, mid-off season sort of keep your hand in sort of thing. And I understand a lot of people don't get excited by Summer League. Now I do. I tend to fall in love with players that I know are not going to make it into the league, and I think everybody's a bit guilty of that. We saw it last year with is it McCarmaker or McCarmaker, whatever his name was, and eventually it comes to nothing. Didn't even get on the Windy City roster. So yeah, Summer League starts on Friday, 11:30 p.m. here in the UK for us, against Toronto Raptors. Then on midnight on Sunday or Saturday, however you want to describe it, so 12 a.m. Sunday morning, we've got the Grizzlies, and then we've got a horrible one on Wednesday, a 3 a.m. tip against the Kings, and then a nice UK friendly one at next Thursday night, 8 p.m. tip for us here in the UK, and then a TBD, which is likely to be the Saturday or the Sunday, the weekend following, depending obviously how well the team do in them first 4 games. And we plan, obviously I plan to watch every game. I know Neil's planning on it, and that's why we treat it the way we do, because it's Bulls basketball at the end of the day. It's developmental. It gives us opportunity to look at players that ordinarily we wouldn't see. I watched a lot of Windy City games last year, and you kind of get excited by these players that you think could possibly make the NBA. Ultimately, a lot of them don't, but like I say, it's just a chance to look at players that ordinarily we wouldn't. And when the Bulls obviously released the roster last Friday, I've had a quick look through it, and I've kind of broke it down into 3 categories. You've got the first category is players that, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about. I've looked into them a little bit, and there's a certain level of intrigue with some of them. Hopefully some of them make the Windy City roster. I don't think any of them will make an NBA roster, but we'll go through them. And the first one is Will Yoakum, a shooting guard who was undrafted. And the intriguing thing for him is the 3-point accuracy, 48%. It'd be fun to watch actually a Bulls player who can shoot threes, because we know that's been lacking. Like I said, I know he's not going to make the roster, but it's just a bit of fun for 10 days or however long it goes on for. The next one, John Tay Porter, a centre. Now, he's actually got a little bit of NBA experience. He had played 11 games with Memphis Grizzlies back in 2021, I think it was. Obviously, the COVID time when everybody was getting 10-day contracts. He spent last year with Wisconsin Herd of the G League, obviously the Milwaukee Bucks affiliate. And he is actually Michael Porter Jr.'s younger brother. Now, he's somebody who could possibly make the Windy City roster. Maybe that's why they've brought him in, to have a closer look. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think obviously probably not going to make the Bulls anywhere near the Bulls roster, but yeah. And the next one, now this one has got a certain part of Bulls Nation very excited, and it is Iago dos Santos, a Brazilian guard. He played a majority of his career in Brazil. I think he's about 24 years old. Spent last year playing in Germany and actually won the German league with his team, and he won finals MVP, averaging about 15 points a game. So obviously the Brazilian part of Bulls Nation are really hyped to see him play, and I fully understand that. You know, it's a chance to see a player that representing your country with a shot at possibly the G League if that's the route he wants to take. And I get it, because there's a British guy who was entered. I'm not even going to attempt to say his name. He's obviously of African descent, but he hails from Newcastle here in the UK, been picked up by Detroit Pistons Summer League team. So I'll be keeping a close eye on how he gets on, and hopefully makes the G League as well. And back to the Bulls roster, Tyree Appleby, another guard, undrafted. Believe he worked out with the Bulls pre-draft. Slightly undersized, it's about 6 foot, and a bit of an older player as well. So he kind of possibly a bit of a Carly Jones. And Bulls tend to pick up these undersized guards in Summer League, and then they seem to stick around with Windy City and sit around on the end of the bench. You know, think Devon Dotson, Carly Jones sort of thing. So maybe he's a replacement for, or the next on the conveyor belt in that sense. And the last one is Nate Darling, another guard. He played 7 games for Charlotte Hornets a few years back, and spent last year with the Ontario Clippers. Again, not somebody I know a lot about, maybe not even get a lot of Summer League minutes, but you know, he's on the roster, so see how he goes. Now the next category is the Windy City Bulls. They've got 4 players who spent last year at Windy City, and you've got Ben Coupe Jr., who is actually Chicago born, a forward, and he's just a typical G League player from what I saw of him. A couple of explosive moments, and yeah, not a lot to write home about really. Next one, Daniel Oturu, another forward. He's played 33 NBA games in his career, majority for the Clippers. He had a little stint with Raptors as well, and obviously spent last year at Windy City. And again, he's a forward. I think he's more of a defensive-minded forward. Doesn't put up a lot of points, but you know, he's a big guy, and he's got the experience of playing at this level, so it could be exciting to watch. Henry Drell, another forward. He was on the Summer League team last year, Windy City last year, and again, he's a G League player. That's simple as that. And the last one is another guard, Javon Freeman-Liberty. Now, I love Javon Freeman-Liberty. I don't know why. Obviously, he was on the Summer League roster last year, went through training camp, went through pre-season, eventually got waived after pre-season by Bulls, and spent last year with Windy City. And he's just an exciting player to watch. I think he averaged about 15 points last year. And, you know, again, I'd hopefully we see him back for Windy City next year, as he was a big part of that team last year. And then the last category, the ones I'm definitely excited to watch, and I'll work my way up from the bottom again. And the first one is Justin Lewis. Obviously undrafted last year, picked up by Bulls, given a 2-way, then tore his ACL. And before I jumped on to record, there was an update from Casey Johnson that the Bulls Summer League coach John Bryant has said that Justin Lewis has took part in all of the training camp so far, and is on course to play this year in Summer League. And that's great. You know, I love the fact that Bulls actually kept him around. They stayed loyal to him. They've kept him around the team, obviously, to rehab and stuff like that. And I think that shows that sense of loyalty to him. You know, they could quite easily have, he could have tore his ACL and they could have said, no, that's it, you're done. But they obviously see something in him. I remember watching him in last year's Summer League, and I was massively hyped on him, as a lot of Bulls Nation were. And that's just part of the reason why I'm I'm excited to see what he actually does. Obviously, coming off that injury, I'm not expecting a lot, but who knows. The next one, Adama Sanogo. Obviously, I've spoke about him before on an episode. Undrafted out of this year's draft. Big guy, slightly short for a 5 is what people say, but I'm excited to see how he goes, especially against somebody like Kenny Lofton Jr. for Grizzlies, who obviously dominated in the G League last year, and could potentially make the Grizzlies rotation at some point. In terms of Sanogo, I'm interested to see why he fell out of the draft, if that's visible in his play while at Summer League. And I think he's going to bring a lot of explosive moments, maybe a bit of an Andre Drummond type player possibly, where he can run down the court, he can slam it, he rebounds, stuff like that. So on to the next one, Julian Phillips. Now, I don't need to obviously introduce him. He's the Bulls' second round pick this year, and I just want to see what he's about. This, for me, this is what Summer League is all about, is seeing what these players can do. We've heard all the negatives on him at this shot. We've heard that Bulls are trying to get him back to that how he was as a high school shooter rather than the college shooter, and I just want to see how that's going. And obviously he's meant to be a defensive dog and stuff like that. And I think I'm interested to see as well how he links up with Dalen Terry and the rest of the Windy City guys, really, because I can see him spending a lot of time down with Windy City. So just see how he interacts and integrates into this team more than anything. Hopefully he can start hitting them threes and turn the negative sort of Bulls fans into a bit more positive about him. The first comment on Casey Johnson's tweet tonight was negative about him, and it's like, you're not even seeing this guy play. Give him a chance, and look, this is the chance to see him play. And obviously the last one is Dalen Terry. I think the obvious answer for pretty much every Bulls fan, we just want to see him play. And for me, I was kind of saying, I think people need to curb their expectations a little bit with him. I don't think he's going to go out and drop 30 points a night, because I don't think he's that sort of a player. He's got experience at this level, obviously with the Windy City Bulls and last year's Summer League. He's also got obviously that minimal NBA experience. So what I want to see from him is a sense of leadership, because he looked like a little bit of a leader on Summer League last year, and obviously he's coming in as the more experienced player now. I want to see how he works with somebody like obviously Julian Phillips and Justin Lewis, who obviously one's the future, one's been around for a year or so now with the Bulls, and I just think he's more of a double-double, like a low double-double sort of player. I think he'll put up points because he's that sort of a player. He's got a multi-skill set, so he can pass, he'll rebound. One thing I noticed with him watching him last year is if he puts up a 3, he follows it, because if it misses, he wants the rebound. Obviously he's a dog on defense, so it's just, I want to see. We've seen how hard he's working in the off season so far, obviously working out with Damar and P. Will and stuff like that, and I just want to see how his games come on. And that, to me, that's what Summer League is all about. So that pretty much rounds up tonight's episode. Like I say, it is just a quick one, because we haven't had a chance to speak about Summer League. I know Neil's pretty much excited about it as well, and at the end of the day, Bulls basketball is back, kind of. And at the end of the day, we're all Bulls fans, get behind them, enjoy Summer League for what it is. That's all I'll say. Don't read too much into it, don't be too negative about it, just enjoy it. It's basketball, and it's a chance, like I've said time and time again, to see what these players can do. So yeah, as I said earlier on, whether an episode gets dropped over the weekend depends what news gets dropped. If not, me and Neil will be back next week with a proper podcast episode. Until then, you can follow us on all the socials at CRedUK. You can follow me on Twitter at MattCRedUK. We've still got CRedUK.com going with some written pieces getting dropped from time to time, and obviously the YouTube channel. Now, I'll ask a big favour, if wherever you listen and if you do watch, please share the links and stuff like that. Helps us grow, and obviously if you subscribe as well, that helps us out, it helps you out, you don't miss another episode. And you know, we're trying to create something here from the UK with CRedUK. You know, we're at a bit of a disadvantage by being 6 hours ahead of Chicago, so when news drops, sometimes we can be asleep. You know, not that we sleep that much, but you know, we will catch up on news as and when we can. You know, we're across all the socials. We pretty much cover all the breaking news on the socials because, like I say, we don't sleep that much. But, you know, unfortunately, we do both work full-time, long jobs. We've got families. So the content we're putting out, we really appreciate people who watch and listen and read and stuff like that. And we just appreciate it if you could share it and help us grow that a little bit more. And that's the sort of the begging side over with. Like I say, you know where to catch us, everywhere on the socials, and we're due back next week. And until then, remember, CRedUK, quite simply, Chicago Bulls.